Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, back to the podcast. I have a super special guest. It is a long time coming. I can't believe this is my first time having her on the podcast. I have Sarah Trapkus, who is a dear friend and dear, just soul that I was lucky enough to meet at coach certification back in 2019. We connected instantly, and through the years, it's just been amazing to be on. I feel like we've both been on a growth journey together. Sarah has personally coached me and really helped me expand in a huge way through the years, and has just always been such a beautiful support. And I think that's one of your zone of geniuses, Sarah, is you're just so loving, so supportive, so caring. And I just feel your love all the time. And on top of that, you are a genius at emotional and energy work. Like that side of the human experience, you have dialed, you have extensive experience in it. And you're extremely intuitive. You've called many things that have happened in my life. So I wanted to have you on the podcast to come and talk more about this, right? Because it's such a huge part of the human experience and the creation process and manifesting and being a CEO. If we can tap into this superpower that you are so zoned in on, magic happens. So I just want to dive into that conversation today with you. I have so many questions for you. So welcome to the podcast.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Yes.
What an incredible introduction. I am so honored to be here to get to share my passion and love of this work, my purpose in the world. So thank you. That just feels so wonderful and aligned.
Oh my goodness. So the first thing that I would love to know is what drew you towards this work? Like, why is this your passion? And also, I guess, how would you describe the work that you do around energy and emotions? So that's kind of two questions.
Yeah, thank you. And I probably have at least two answers to
that.
Good. So, 10 years ago, when I was pregnant with my third child, I was in therapy really because I was so dissatisfied in my relationship with my children's father. I was over-functioning. I was homeschooling. And so I was in therapy. And the therapist named for me that I had C-PTSD. I had complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I started drinking alcohol and smoking pot when I was 12 years old because I had so much terror in my system. My father was not around. My parents divorced when I was 4. My mom moved me and one of my siblings a handful of hours away. I didn't see my dad much. I definitely didn't have regular contact with him. We call that abandonment. And then my mom, who raised me, was undiagnosed bipolar, and she self-medicated through alcohol. And she was often gone. So at 12 years old, I was often home alone overnight. This was before cell phones, so I didn't know where she was or when she would come back. And there just wasn't this stable, consistent presence in my life to reflect me back to me. So I learned early on how to numb my felt experience, how to leave my body so that I could function. Like many high functioning people, and I'm actually going to talk about this in a little bit, I learned how to use striving and achievement as a way to feel valuable and worthy. I continued to drink. I continued to use cannabis. And I continued to project all that unconscious pain out into my life and attract relationships and circumstances that weren't aligned to who I truly am. So I'm sat in the therapy office 10 years ago, and I get this reflected back to me, like, you have C-PTSD. And what she said after that was, whatever you're doing is working. And what I had been doing was this deep emotional healing work. So 15 years ago, so about 5 years previous, before I became a mom, I saw in my local area that there was this class being offered, like on a Saturday afternoon. It was Introduction to Shamanic Journey Work. And the way that the teacher presented the class was, get access to any answer you will ever need. And to me, that just landed in me. Like, we all know, I think intellectually, like or intuitively, that the answers are always inside of us. Like, we hear that, especially as coaches in the self-development world, like, the answers are within you. The answers are within you. And I think for me, that meant freedom, and freedom was one of my top values. And so I was just so drawn to this class. I signed up for it. I was also at a point in my life where the resisting and avoiding of all this really intense energy, AKA trauma in my body, was not working. And I knew that becoming a mom was only going to exacerbate, those two things weren't going to work. And I needed a way through. So I took this class. I signed up for her 10-month shamanic practitioner certification course. And yeah, I learned the tools of the shaman. I should say that Michael, my teacher, she studied with one of the first female shamans of the Nepali Tamang tradition. And her name was Amabambo. And she was one of the 13 indigenous grandmothers of the International Council. She has recently passed, but that's who my teacher trained with. She lived in Nepal for 20 years. And so she brought this work to my small community in Northern California. I took her course and I learned a lot about that lineage. But what really happened is that I remembered that there's an entire world that we get to access that has so much wisdom and information for us about this three-dimensional reality. So shamanic journey work bridges that gap between dimensions. And I was able to use that tool to do the emotional healing work that I needed to do to come back into my body and to reconcile all the parts and to show up as the human and the mom and the partner and the community member that I truly wanted to be. So that's how it came to me. I feel like I was gifted the ability to learn how to work with the emotions in my body, aka the energy in my body, through this remembering of this journey work. And that's what my therapist was referring to. Like, whatever you're doing, it's working. 5 years ago, so I was kind of doing this like undercover, under wraps, in secret by myself. This was my own like big practice that I was doing. This was my big experiment. Like, does this work? Does this work? And I was like, it must be, because the feedback I'm getting is like, this is working. And about 5 years ago, after I became a certified coach, I started sharing this with other coaches. I was like, do you guys want to learn about emotional processing like in this way? And I'm like, is this going to work for anyone else? Well, it did. And so that really is what brought me to where I am today, with like just the level of passion and certainty, and just like, this is what I'm here for. This is what I do. And this is why it's so important, because I truly believe that all of us can heal our emotions, and that brings us back into our bodies.
Yeah. So yeah. When you say that journey work or that work, can you give listeners an insight into, or maybe an example of what that could look like? Because people might say, wait, I've heard of all these things, or these, I'm just interested. What does this actually look like? What is this? What is journey work? And I know you described it as kind of merging the physical, the worlds, but is this a meditation practice? Is this a combination of things that you do?
Yeah. What I do and what I train coaches in now with my emotional healing, emotional alchemy certification program, it is a whole body of work. But for the person who's like, what is this? The most accurate way I could describe it is it's like guided meditation, right? So when we're in a meditative state, we are dropped out of our, we're certainly invited to drop out of the reptilian brain, the activated parts of our brain that are, maybe responding to trauma in the body, fight or flight, freeze, fawn responses. And we're also invited to drop out of the cognitive brain, right? And in meditation, we're invited to be in the present moment, to ground in right here, to turn on our senses, right? So it's something that most, if not all of your listeners have experienced. But it's that space when you're out of your mind, your thinking mind, and you're in your body and in that place of presence, that other doorways open up. And so a lot of people who facilitate guided meditation take you on, these journeys into these places. I want to let people know that you can go in and journey on anything. Like you can turn any meditation into a way to find the answer or a way to understand and meet any emotion. That's the journey. And like I said, the actual skill set and what is included in that as a practitioner is more broad.
Totally. Beautiful. What do you wish people knew about emotions that maybe they don't, or something that you've learned in this work that has opened and expanded your world?
I have so much to say. I think what I want people to remember, because I think everyone knows this, we just forget, is that emotions aren't the problem. No emotion is a problem. It's our automatic resistance to feeling it that becomes the problem. What so many people think an emotion is or how it feels is actually their resistance to it, right? Because once we actually allow ourselves to feel the emotion, first of all, feeling the sensation of it, right? It's been scientifically proven. We all know about the 90-second, like when you actually just let yourself feel it like energy in your body and let it move through, it happens very quickly. It's not painful. It's not as hard as our brain can tell us it can be. My work takes it a lot deeper into actually meeting what I call the energy body of emotion. And this is important for people like me who have experienced trauma, and trauma is stuck in the body. And we want to work that through. So trauma that's stuck in the body has an emotional component, emotions that are stuck, emotions that haven't been felt, emotions that are connected to the parts of us who experience the trauma. So in my work, it goes beyond just feeling the sensation. It goes to meeting the energy body of emotion. And this is where the journey work / the meditation work is so powerful, because we bring our mind's eye into our bodies and we see, we sense, we hear, we know, we feel what that energy body of emotion is, and have a conversation with it where it tells us, it shows us what it is. Why is it here? What does it need? And when we bring presence to anything, energy, it can shift. So I know I just said a lot, like, what do I want people to know about emotions? It's all of that. It's that it's not the emotion isn't the problem. It's the resistance to it, that we all have the ability to allow an emotion to move through, and that they're doorways, and they're doorways into more of who you truly are.
What's on the other side of this? What have you witnessed within yourself, within your clients, the practitioners that you train around this? What does it open up when people learn this work?
Yeah. So much.
Yeah.
Life force energy. And that happens for a couple different reasons. First of all, the amount of energy it takes to resist an emotion is energy you're not using to actually move into the life that you're here to create, right? So you talked about like the creative aspect of emotions. But also you access the quality of life force energy that is aligned to you. So when you stop using your energy to resist an emotion or avoid an emotion or whatever you want to call it, and you meet with it, you get that energy back. Plus this emotion that's been stuck, an emotion is energy in motion, or stuck emotion is it's not in motion, it's just stuck. It starts to move and it starts to reveal what it wants to be. What it wants to be in service to you, right? Because we have desires. We are wired to grow, evolve, and expand. And so there is a part of our consciousness that is aiming to be at a higher frequency level. Like think about what you strive for, whether it's a financial goal, whether it's a lifestyle goal, whether it's a relationship goal, like whatever it is, we have our sights on that. And the energy in our body wants to align to that. And so when we meet with it, we give it the opportunity to shift into that level of consciousness, into that frequency. So that's one thing that's on the other side of it.
Yes.
Another thing that's on the other side of it that has to do with allowing that quality of energy to move through you is that becomes your essence. Right. So then you have this whole energetic signature that's more of you, and you have the capacity for it. And so the way you express yourself, the way you create, the way that life aligns to meet you becomes more clear. And then you're just not also trying to constantly reconcile these emotions that you're not willing to feel. Right. Such a distraction.
Yeah. Exhausting. Yeah. So it's like a process of creation or manifestation as you do that. But the difference is, I think a lot of people, and this was me included for many years, but of course, in my evolution, I've shifted the way that I have created. But it's like manifestation used to be a form of control, or like that part of you that said, I was really ambitious, I was really driven, I really wanted to achieve. And we were using some of the tools of manifestation to try and control, to try and almost resist these emotions so that we could feel better, have the thing, get there. But this work is actually where you go. It's a different intention, right? And when you do it in this way, you actually open up what it is you really want, but it's not in a control sense. It's actually in an allowing, in a letting go. So can you speak a little bit to that? And maybe, like you said, the part of you that used to be that high achiever, or maybe, I have a lot of listeners and I know a lot of people that come into my world who they're trying to manifest to control their life or to feel better. The intention behind it is to feel safe. But that process doesn't feel good at all when that's why you're trying to do it. And it also doesn't work. Like you will just keep hitting up against the same things over and over.
Totally. Yeah. When we're using striving to avoid what we're currently feeling, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'm going to reference a study that I think is fascinating. So there was a study done of 400, they called them extraordinarily high achievers. And what they found is that 75% of these individuals had experienced an adverse childhood experience. So they had experienced, abuse, extreme poverty, a loss of a parent, something like that. And we know, and I think we can all kind of see ourselves in this study, right? We know that these people are resilient, they're brilliant, and they're brave. But underneath, they're using achievement as a way to avoid pain. And this is done by, you stay really busy. You're constantly striving to feel better, which means you can't actually ever feel joy or fulfillment or satisfaction. You're trying to get validation from producing something and having that like seen so that you feel worthy, which is exhausting, which leads to burnout. So I call this the shadow side of achievement. And we're all dancing in it, right? Especially like, hello, I've been an entrepreneur since, for over 25 years, right? And we're in the coaching industry. Like, it's a constant exercise of trial and error and regrouping and regrounding and realigning and doing that work. And it takes a lot of resilience. I think though, specifically for your audience, right? Here are people who are all entrepreneurs, are all in business. It's important to recognize when we're dancing in that shadow side of achievement and notice if it's because we're avoiding what's here, what's in our body. So for me, it was anxiety. I was so good at creating new businesses and throwing myself into it and like having people be like, you're amazing, this is wonderful, because that was easier than feeling this anxiety. But I was also totally separate from myself. And this is what happens when you're in this shadow side of achievement, is that your body is activated, right? So your nervous system is activated. You're never actually at a baseline state of integration and calm and groundedness. And when your nervous system is activated, you stay out of your body. So feeling emotions is like, it's not even an option. You're not even there. You're not even in your experience. So it's like this it just feeds itself. I think what's fascinating is that these individuals are the ones that hire coaches at the highest rate because they want to keep striving. They want to keep figuring it out. And this is why I think I'm so passionate about coaches having these tools in their toolkit, because once you just become the space where somebody feels safe enough to drop into their body, it can happen so quickly. And in my experience, I'll use my personal experience. When I learned how to step out of that overachievement, over functioning, and be with myself and process through I spent years doing this work, processing through, until I reached a point where I felt like I was myself. And now it's like upkeep, right?
Yep.
Being myself is the most valuable thing I could ever experience. It is nothing else matters if I don't feel okay in my own skin. If I don't feel like the decisions I make are in alignment to my soul, to my heart. And what I've learned is that I can have that and the quality and level of success that I want. And I think it's so important for us to be the example of this so that others know that that's possible.
So where does success come from for you now if it's not from that drive? Like, how does that become? How does that manifest for you differently now that you're in your body, you are embodied?
Yes. Yeah. I am pulled. And it's a really potent lesson in trust that, first of all, what I desire and what I imagine for myself from a place of aligned truth is for me. And that the universe, life, God is co-creating that with me. That I don't have to be the one to make it happen. I just need to do my part. And my part is paying attention to what is pulling me and what I am inspired to do moment to moment to moment. And also to give myself permission to feel the frequency of success, fulfillment, satisfaction, love, pleasure, delight, connection, whatever it is right now. I think that is the most powerful skill set that has come out of being with all the emotions that I was so resistant to feeling for most of my life.
Yeah. So what you're saying is it's expanded your capacity as a whole, holistically. So now it's not that you can actually go in and experience what's going on energetically with anxiety, and you can be with that and you can hold it and you can allow it. But it sounds like it also opened the door to beauty and expression and creativity and joy.
Absolutely. Emotions are neutral. They're just vibrating. The energy that makes up the emotion is just vibrating at the frequency that it's at. The story about that vibration and what then our brains name it, and that's what we call an emotion, is what causes all the drama, right? What we make it mean, what the past experience has been with it, how it's tied into, something that happened that we made meaning out of, or it defined who we are, all of that. So if I am holding terror in my body, which I was for a very long time, because I didn't think I was worthy, I wasn't lovable, I wasn't supported, no one cared about me. So those were the stories that my child self created in order to make sense of my reality. In order to know that I am loved, supported, desired, important, and worthy, I had to allow myself to go to that lower frequency state of terror and be with that story and be with those parts of myself and have them, integrate them in order to feel the level of the quality of the vibrational frequency of the emotions that I experience now. Right. So I brought my consciousness to it. They shifted into what I now am available for. So yeah, that is the capacity piece. So the more that we are willing to be with what we've been resisting, the more our capacity grows to be with what we actually want.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I mean, how many people reach a level of success and they freak out and they don't even feel what they want to feel?
Oh yeah.
In that space.
Totally. Been there.
Mm-hmm.
Guilty of it 100%. And
Totally.
It's actually more disappointing than anything when you're like, oh my God, I've been striving for this for so long. And I did it and I feel worse than before. Or I feel the same. Or it didn't give me what I thought it would. It's just so disappointing. And that's actually what drove me to dive in and do this work, is because I was like, this ain't it. Like just the physical manifestations, just the achievements, that's not going to give me what my heart desires. It's not bad. It's beautiful, but you have to be able to be connected to yourself as well. You have to, you want to be able to experience the joy that you're creating in your life. It's a practice. Yeah. God, so powerful. So one question that I have for you that I know probably listeners are wondering is like, how do you feel whenever emotion is arising in the body? How do you tell the difference between expansion discomfort and true misalignment? Because I know a lot of people, like we hear this in manifestation, follow the joy, follow the good feelings. But sometimes in expansion, also it activates and kicks up things that we have to move through in order to get to expansion. So it doesn't always feel amazing, at least in my experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like anything that's worthy and true and aligned and hard at the same time, like being a parent, right? Like I knew part of my desire was to be a mom, and I have been blessed with 3 healthy children, and it's not always easy, right? But that doesn't mean that I'm on the wrong path. So to get more, it's just important to like dissolve any ideas that it's supposed to be easy all the time. It's not. Especially when our goals and our desires are literally placed in us to grow us and expand us. The system will have growing pains. The brain is going to see anything that's unfamiliar as unsafe, right? The body and the nervous system, even if you're expanding into something that's healthy for you, that's aligned to you, if it doesn't have the capacity to hold it, it's going to get activated. Doesn't mean anything's gone wrong. I think most people don't give themselves enough credit for making the right choices. I actually think it's really hard to screw up. And I think why we are stuck in this idea that it's possible to make wrong decisions like so much of the time is because we don't accept that having negative feelings or emotions in our body is actually just part of the process. We are so programmed to search for the easy, the feel good path to fulfillment, but we don't get to fulfillment that way. We get it through trial and error, failure, struggle, right? So I think that question will actually start to fade away the more that people lean in and like not just accept, but like see anything that feels sticky and that feels that they're resistant to as an opportunity to like go all the way in, right? Because that has information for you. Those like, okay, so I'm writing a book. I've been writing a book for 3 years. Okay, like talk about a process that is wrought with resistance and like, am I making the right decision?
Yep.
Am I going in the right direction? Right.
Totally.
But I know that I meant to write this
100%.
book. Like, so I'm on the journey of it. And every time I reach like a place of like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I making the right decision? I drop into my body and I meet the energy that's present. And it always, like we talked about earlier, it always has a gift for me. It always has a piece of wisdom, a part of self. It always unwinds and releases and liberates me from it, but I have to be with it. I have to be present with it. I have to allow it fully, right? So I think if more of us did that, we wouldn't be stuck in the question of how do I know if this is the right decision or not? Because the answers are always right here, right? And I also want to say that you've also explained this so beautifully on your podcast, and we can say it's, are you feeling pulled, or do you feel like you have to push through? Is there any part that's pulling you? When you imagine yourself having this or doing this, do you feel an expansion or do you feel a contraction, right? So those are really beautiful, just like quick ways to do a little like energy check as well.
Yeah. Love that. Totally. And that's been, my process this whole past year. And I would always have to check back in, like, what does my heart want? What do I know? And that's always the question. What do I know to be true? Am I supposed, and that you will instantly get the answer, but just because you're going through it or there's obstacles or challenges, it's like, that's part of the journey. Okay. You didn't expect that part. You didn't expect it to take this long, but if you drop in, you always know. Yeah. So good. And sometimes I also, do like to mention that there are times for completion and you'll know, where it's also okay to say, I'm done with this. I'm complete. This is over. This was a season. So yeah, so good. Oh my gosh, Sarah. So I know a lot of listeners are going to want to dive deeper into this work, or they just know intuitively, this is the next thing for me. Like, this is my growing edge, is to dive deeper into myself. Or maybe they're in that place where they feel like, God, I've been striving for many years, or I'm in burnout. And I want to get to the place where I feel myself. Like you have, right? Where it's like they want to be embodied. That's the next step. That's the next goal. They want to feel in their body. How can people, number one, find you? How can they work with you? And I'd love for you to touch on your certification that you have for coaches or practitioners.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
They can find me at sarahtrapkus.com. And right now there's 2 ways to work with me. One is one-on-one and private mentorship. And the other is through the Emotional Alchemy Certification Program. And that is specifically for coaches who have hit the mindset ceiling. They know that there's more, and it's in the body. And they have clients who are showing up with emotional intensity, and they just don't feel equipped or confident to lead them through that journey of not just processing emotions, but really helping them transform their emotional experience. So I help coaches do that through mentorship, and then I train them to do it so they can do it with their own clients. Right now, I don't have any groups or anything like that going on, but I often, I'll do a workshop, or I try to give, as much as I can. Right now I am writing actually 2 books.
Oh my gosh.
So when those come out, those are going to be really great resources.
Wait.
Yeah, totally. I'm also on Instagram at Sarah Trapkus as well. And,
I love what you share there. So good. Yes. And everything you share is it's value packed and filled with love and intention. And the one-on-one work that I did with you was so incredibly powerful that I vividly, and I think it's a tribute to how deep you go in that work, but there are so many things that I uncovered through that work that still stick with me. Like I have visuals that still, and ways that you have kind of just painted a picture for me or helped me shift my perspective that have literally stayed with me still. And so I just want to thank you. And, it's a tribute to how powerful that work is. So
thank you.
Yeah. So amazing to have you. Thank you, Sarah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So go follow Sarah. You'll love her. This is some good stuff, some really deep work, and it's worth doing. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.